Mary Mcleod Bethune was an educator and activist, serving as president of the National Association of Colored Women and funding the National Council of Negro Women. She was born on July 10, 1875 in Maysville, South Carolina. She grew up in poverty as one of the 17 children born to former slaves Samuel and Patsy McIntosh Mcleod. Everyone in the family worked. Bethune became the one and only child in her family to go to school when a missionary opened a school nearby for African American children. She did her best to share her newfound knowledge with her family. Bethune later received a scholarship to the Scotia Seminary, a school for girls in Concord, North Carolina. After graduating from the seminary in 1893, she went to the Dwight Moody's Institute for Home and Foreign Missions in Chicago, and then returned to the South. She began her career as an educator. She married fellow teacher Albertus Bethune in 1898. The couple had one son together, Albert Mcleod Bethune, before ending her marriage in 1907. She believed that education provided the key to racial advancement. Bethune funded the Daytona Normal and Industrial Institution for Negro Girls in Daytona, Florida in 1904. Starting out with only 5 students, she helped grow the school to more than 250 students over the next years. Bethune served as the school's president, and she remained its leader even after it was combined with the Cookman Institute for Men in 1923. The merged institution became known as the Bethune-Cookman College. The college was one of the few places that African American students could pursue a college degree. Bethune stayed with the college until 1942. Bethune did much to contribute to American society at large. She served as the president of the Florida chapter of the National Association of Colored Women for many years. In 1924, Bethune became the organization's national leader, beating out fellow reformer Ida B. Wells for the top post. Bethune also became involved in government service, lending her expertise to several presidents. President Calvin Coolidge invited her to participate in a conference on child welfare. For President Herbert Hoover, she served on commission on home building and home ownership, and was appointed to a committee on child health. But her most significant roles in public service came from President Franklin D. Roosevelt. In 1935, Bethune became a special advisor to President Roosevelt on minority affairs. That same year, she also started up her own civil rights organization, the National Council of Negro Women. Bethune created this organization to represent numerous groups working on critical issues for African American women. She received another appointment from President Roosevelt the following year. In 1936, she became the Director of Division on Negro Affairs with the National Youth Administration. One of her main concerns in this position was helping young people find job opportunities. In addition to her official role in the Roosevelt administration, Bethune became a trusted friend and advisor to both the President and his wife, Eleanor Roosevelt. Mary Mcleod Bethune spent much of the rest of her life devoted to social causes after leaving Bethune-Cookman College in 1942. She took up residence at its new National Council of Negro Women headquarters in Washington, D.C. townhouse in 1943 and lived there for several years. An early member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, she helped represent the group at the 1945 Conference on the Funding of the United Nations, along with W.E.B. Du Bois. In the early 1950s, President Harry Truman appointed her to a committee on national defense and appointed her to serve as an official delegate to a presidential inauguration in Liberia. Eventually returning to Florida in her retirement, Bethune died on May 18, 1955, in Daytona, Florida. Among her list of spiritual bequests, she wrote, "I leave you a thirst for education. Knowledge is the prime need of the hour." Bethune closed with, "If I have a legacy to leave my people, it is my philosophy of living and serving." I leave you love. Love builds, it is positive and helpful. Mary Mcleod, Bethune.